For me, every time I plant a seed, it's a rebellious step. It's my way of really going against a broken system.
It just took one little last straw just to wake us up and say enough is enough.
Back-to-back hurricanes in 2017 exposed the major instability of Puerto Rico's food supply system. Puerto Rico imports almost all of its food. So when its ports closed due to the devastation, food shortages ensued. 100-mile-per-hour winds and heavy rain destroyed 80% of the agricultural industry. Some farmers were forced to stop production, while others left. But there were those who survived.
We have to think out of the box. We have to do things differently.
Now, those farmers are part of a movement that actually see farming as the way to make Puerto Rico more self-sufficient.
Que estamos hablando de revolver a la agricultura, de desarrollar una economía agrícola próspera nuevamente.
They're using ancestral knowledge and biology to make this new food supply more sustainable and resilient against the climate crisis.
Hoy día es un Puerto Rico diferente a el que fue pre-María.
We met 5 farmers in Puerto Rico: Shirley, Drew, Ian, Salvador, and Marisol, who'll show us why this new way of farming could mean a better future for the people of Puerto Rico.
Me being out there putting those seeds in the ground is a step towards helping that change come into play here on the island.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo tú estás? ¿Cómo tú estás?
People have, whether consciously or subconsciously, have recognized that something needs to change here.
It's a beautiful thing to just get up and go outside and get your hands dirty and know that you are going to be able to eat what you are planting. I feel like my responsibility here is to bring this farm back to life with all of its natural fertility and its natural fruitfulness that it has. So the goal, yes, it is to restore it, to take care of it, to baby it back to life.
The more love and time and care and protection that you give your piece of land, your earth, she will return that back to you.
But farms' vulnerability to the effects of climate change was exposed during Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
My husband and my daughters, we were in Florida when Hurricane Irma was heading in that direction. A week later, Maria came. There was a crisis. The ports closed down. And we were watching it from over there in Florida. There was all the grocery store shelves were empty. And we're like, what is going on?
El huracán María puso de perspectiva bien evidente y obsceno casi pues la vulnerabilidad que tenemos en términos de alimentos, porque de momento nos quedamos desprovistos. Importamos un 90%, por lo tanto producimos un escaso 10% de lo que consumimos. Pero por otro lado tenemos tierra suficiente para producir mucho más de lo que estamos produciendo.
Irónicamente, los lugares que más hambre pasaron, que más aprieto, fueron los lugares rurales, que debieron haber sido los lugares más resilientes en donde había alimento.
That's because Hurricanes Irma and Maria left the agricultural industry nearly destroyed.
Drew and I, we just kind of look at each other and we're like, let's move to Puerto Rico. We just knew, especially watching the news and everything that was going on, that this is where we needed to be. We felt even more connected to our island than ever before, and we wanted to be here with our family, with our friends, with our people.
Why do they call it a star fruit? It's a star.
Se está dando este fenómeno donde los nuevos actores de la agricultura son jóvenes.
I was not prepared for this work here. This is a city boy you're talking to. I'm from the projects. You don't have no greens, no greenery in the projects other than other green stuff. Once you put your heart and your dedication and something bigger than yourself into what you do, your body will transform and do what it needs to do for your family, for your country, for your people.
I dreamed about having our little corner of the island being a food source for people here in our community.
But Shirley knows that in order to achieve this goal, her farm needs to be able to survive future threats caused by climate change.
The ecological approach to agriculture and to farming is very important because we are living in times where there's a huge concern, and rightfully so, over how our earth is going through these changes.
En tiempos de cambio climático y calentamiento global, pues la agroecología atiende bien de cerca cómo podemos producir en esas condiciones y qué podemos hacer a través de la agricultura para contrarrestar un poco los cambios, los efectos del cambio climático y el calentamiento global.
Básicamente la agroecología tiene una serie de principios que hacen la agricultura más resiliente a los extremos meteorológicos.
One of the things that's really, really important for us is to not have to use weed killer.
I would say that 75 to 80%, and that number fluctuates, but 75 to 80% of our time on the farm is maintaining the weeds, the weed control. Now, what other farmers might do is to spray, some weed killer. In an agroecological farm, that's actually something that we don't do. We don't want to do that because we don't want to contaminate the soil, we don't want to affect the pollinators, we don't want to affect the groundwater. So it's very labor intensive. Like I go up there and I have to maintain the plantains or where my crops are going to be, and it's by hand, cleaning. And what would normally take maybe a day in a conventional farm has taken us almost 2 weeks.
Los que proponemos la agroecología no lo vemos como un sector o un nicho de mercado más, sino lo vemos como la forma de que debemos producir la comida de la humanidad si nos queremos plantear en este planeta a largo plazo. Entonces la agroecología tiene una visión de que esta es la forma de producir en armonía con el planeta, con los recursos que tiene el planeta, porque el planeta tiene recursos finitos.
Once these plantains start producing, voy a entresacar. I'm going to take out a few. And everything that's going to be planted from here on out, en esta área, en estos predios, como lo estaba diciendo, las calabazas, las habichuelas, los pimientos, todo va a ir al contorno. La siembra al contorno aprendí después que ayuda mucho a prevenir la erosión. Aquí baja mucha agua. A lot of water comes down when it rains. It's so much. At the bottom, it looks like a river. Like after Maria, we saw so many landslides, and it's not just a hurricane that could affect the land, but with erosion, a lot of the nutrients get washed out. So when you plant al contorno, following the natural curves and the layout of the land, you lose a lot less nutrients. Working with what the land gives you is what I've learned to be the key component of more sustainable farming and ecological farming. Working with what you have.
We're like returning to these practices that used to be made in the past and we lost for some reason. Sometimes I say we humans get a little bit lost in the way.
Esta finca era de mi abuelo y mi abuelo era lo que te estaba comentando ahorita, era un señor bien agroecológico. Y ellos utilizaban este tipo de zanjas, ¿verdad? Y era para la erosión del terreno y si tú te fijas, va en el contorno del terreno, ¿sabes? Que ellos hacían este tipo de práctica hace ¿cuánto? 50, 60 años atrás y era funcional porque si estamos viendo que todavía existen.
A day that it's raining and you look and follow all the water running through the ditches, it was perfect. It was so planned, so well planned.
O sea, la mayor resiliencia de la agroecología está bien estudiado, por ejemplo, en Nicaragua, bajo el huracán Mitch, se determinó que las fincas que protegían los suelos e integraban prácticas agroecológicas, pues eran fincas que podían recuperarse mucho más rápido luego de un huracán.
Agroecological farmers in Puerto Rico, like Marisol and Ian, saw similar results.
Something that we learned from Hurricane Maria is that if we prune them,
the tree can withstand all these winds, so we can have the breadfruit trees saved from the winds, and then they will recuperate pretty well.
Al tener una amplia diversidad de diferentes cultivos, pues hubo unos que se afectaron más, pero sobrevivieron otros con los que pudimos sostenernos un poco después del huracán, por ejemplo. Mientras otras fincas quedaron desprovistas de la capa fértil del suelo, de ese mantillo, de ese topsoil, aquí en la finca tuvimos muy poca o nada de erosión luego de esas lluvias catastróficas de los huracanes Irma y María. Así que luego del huracán teníamos un suelo fértil donde empezar de nuevo. A las 4 semanas luego del huracán ya estábamos llevando al mercado las primeras hojas por esa capacidad de resiliencia, esa capacidad de reponernos luego del huracán.
Puerto Rico's agricultural obstacles are not new. It has historically struggled against the colonial policies imposed by Spain and the United States.
Puerto Rico siempre ha tenido una economía agrícola. En los tiempos de España, pues era una economía agrícola donde primordialmente era una economía de café. Cuando viene la invasión estadounidense, se prioriza la producción de caña de azúcar en grandes monocultivos, entonces se devalúa la moneda de Puerto Rico y eso permite que se empiecen a confiscar grandes cantidades de terreno y se desarrolla una economía de exportación de caña de azúcar, y en ese proceso Puerto Rico perdió su base social agrícola, y el reto más grande que tiene es que la agricultura se abandonó en gran medida, y retomar y volver a la agricultura es un reto cuesta arriba.
¿Camila quiere perro? Yes.
I feel like there have been chains that we didn't know were there until we started moving. I believe that I believe that we have the power to bring forth a change, a positive change for our island.
Puerto Rico es un país con grandes recursos. Somos una tierra bendecida en nuestro clima, bendecido en nuestros recursos naturales, en nuestra tierra. Si nos preguntamos cuál es el recurso más importante del país, pues yo creo que muy tranquilamente todos debemos reconocer que es la gente.
I have the blessing and the opportunity of growing food not only for myself, but for my community as well. An island, a country that produces its own food, can open up these doors to a new kind of freedom.